session. My name is Aarshpreet, and today we're going to talk about the first chapter, that's development. Guys, before we jump into the chapter, do you think there's a difference between growth and development? If technically no, I think there's a very minor difference between growth and development. Well, probably let's take a very simple example. Growth is something that can be observed by eyes. It is defined as an increase in size and mass, let's say of a particular organism, over a period of time. Whereas if we talk about development, it is defined as a particular transformation from a simple to a complicated thing. Let's say in case of a child, increase in the height, different parts of the body, and maybe the weight of the kid. What do you think? Is it growth or is it the concept of development? Tell me, what do you guys think? Is it growth or is it really development? Well, I bet you guys will be probably in a position to answer now that this is increase in number that you can see and it's growth. But enhancing the intellectual ability of a kid or maybe any person, where do you put this? Yes, it is development. So I hope these things are pretty clear to you. Let's take more examples and let's start with the chapter. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So this is the very first chapter that we're going to talk about. What we are going to talk about is the introduction. Then we're going to cover the concept of development. What development promises. Different people, different goals. I think differently when I talk about development. Maybe different goals are there that you've set in on priority basis, that this is how I define my development. Income and other goals, are they real? The check barriers, are these the one on which you can rely, totally depend on to check if your country is going up, or is it progressing, or is it poor, or is there vast divide in income inequality. So guys, I have come across with this concept that most of the countries, they are poor. But please wait, think for a minute. Are countries really poor, or are countries really they fall in the category of low income countries? Or is it that there is a very vast divide or a very large rift or gap between those earning and doing really well and those who are working for them yet still not able to sustain their life? So before you make a comment and say that a country is poor country, is it really poor? Or do we have a section who's earning and taking part and earning the cream of income and doing really well, but a lot of people, there is income disparity? So do you define, I leave it to you, the country to be poor, or do you put it in the category of the country having a lot of income disparity, inequality? That's what I wanted to talk about. Then we're going to talk about national development and how to compare different countries or states. How do you see that this country is doing really good while the other country is still running the race to reach and conquer the same tag the other one has? Income and other criteria, what are public facilities, and also sustainable development. So let's get started with again the concept of that we were talking, growth, and here I'm going to talk about development. Okay, so guys, to be honest, when I talk about, see, take any agricultural thing. So growth is, I would say, if we talk about agriculture, I'm going to give you examples so that it sticks to your mind. Okay, let's talk about first agriculture. Can I say, if I talk about agriculture and talk about the concept of growth, anyway, they're going to be irreversible changes, irreversible increase in mass, increase in volume, And that would probably be a quantitative concept. If the plants are growing, they're doing really well, their functions are going good, that is a quantitative concept. So yes, if I talk about quantitative, and what do you think? Good, the qualitative. I'm talking about development. So growth is just getting better, whereas development is improvement. Growth can probably, it means better. You're getting better. Here it means development or maybe improvement. Let's talk about one thing more. Growth basically means increase in quantity. Development means increase in quantity also and increase in quality also. Let's have one more case. How can we define? I'm going to write G is for growth. D is going to be for development. Let's take one more case. Can I get growth can be explained by becoming, if you become more and more bigger, if you become more and more larger, if you have more and more, let's say, importance. That can only be, physical things, more of that thing. But if I talk about growth, one more aspect can be said that it is a physical as well as social and something related with number. But if I talk about development, it is the process of developing skill and capabilities. Oops. Or maybe capacity. So it deals more with a behavioral aspect of living being. So in terms of economy, if I talk about the economy of a country, we say that steady growth in a country's economy over the last few years, by which I mean to say that the countries can be defined as developed, they can be defined as developing. If I look into the, steady growth is where I talk about growth. But if I talk about develop or developing, it means I'm going to look into the broader aspects of broader strides into of all the spheres of the country. It's not just income that I'm going to focus on. It's going to be the health, it's going to be the education setup, it's going to be the life expectancy that I'm going to look into. That means the mere increase in the number is not what I'm looking for. It's a lot of other things that are important to sustain human life. Quality of human life is when I talk about development. So let's see how can we take it the other way. So economic development, if I talk about, that means monetary, in terms of monetary development, is a process in which the nation improves the economic, political, social well-being of its people. So anyway, it's going to be monetary development, but because there is the term development, that means you have to focus more on social well-being, the political aspect, and also the economic aspect. The term, this economic development especially, has become a very, very common term in the 20th, 21st century. Because of that concept of globalization that has come into picture, and every country is improving, marching the race. But don't you think when you're doing really well in life, sometimes you tend to ignore your health, sometimes you take yourself for granted. But it's very important that if we are developing or working on the growth of a country, it's very important. Guys, I need you to focus on this thing. If I'm trying to work on the growth of the country, like the income of the country, if I want it to increase, automatically I'll have to work on human capital. That is you, not me. I'm anyway serving. So human capital, and if I say human capital, that means you need to work on your education, you need to work on your health. These two aspects, if I talk about, are very, very important for the growth of a country. But for growth, again, it's very important for development also to take place simultaneously. Otherwise, if it's just the growth, there's going to be a lot of disparity, a lot of inequality, a lot of chaos in the country. No government is going to undertake any project. Every poor is going to go more down the poverty line. Nobody is going to work for the betterment of the people. And hence, we conclude that growth and development, though they seem to be, they can be interchanged, they can be correlated, they are more or less the same. But they have different things to convey. They have different messages and they stand for different things. One is a very broad concept, and the other one is a very narrow concept. Now, whom do you think, which concept is a very narrow concept, guys? Growth, just a mere increase in the number or income, how can you judge a country? Probably that might be the case that all the rich people are doing really well and they are exploiting the poor people at their health at stake of their, health, income, and whatnot. So, to compare different countries, we have got good parameters, good index that we'll cover in the next class. So, till we meet next, please take care. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, in which we talked about growth and development. Thank you guys so much for joining.